Have you ever wondered what it was like to sail aboard the Titanic, the most luxurious ship of its time? Picture this. It's the year 1912, and a behemoth of a ship, the Titanic, embarks on its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, on April 10th. The air is filled with excitement and anticipation. Unfortunately, this joyous journey takes a tragic turn when the ship strikes an iceberg and sinks in the North Atlantic Ocean on April 15th, just 5 days later. The Titanic was no ordinary ship. It was a floating palace, boasting amenities like a swimming pool, a gymnasium, a library, and a first-class dining room. With a length of about 882 feet and a width of 92 feet, it was the largest and most opulent ship in existence at the time. However, this grandeur was overshadowed by a fatal flaw. Despite its size, the Titanic carried only enough lifeboats for about half of its passengers and crew. This deficiency resulted in a devastating loss of life when disaster struck. On that fateful night, the wireless telegraph on the Titanic sent out desperate calls for help. But due to a cruel twist of fate, a nearby ship, the Californian, had turned off its radio for the night, leaving the Titanic's pleas for help unanswered. Earlier that day, the Titanic had received several iceberg warnings. Still, it continued its course, speeding through the treacherous iceberg-infested waters. The iceberg that the Titanic struck caused it to sink in about 2 hours and 40 minutes, breaking into two before disappearing beneath the waves. The Titanic catered to 3 classes of passengers, first, second, and third, with each class experiencing the voyage differently. The first-class accommodations were particularly lavish, featuring private promenade decks and spacious cabins. When the Titanic sank, it took with it over 1,500 of the approximately 2,224 passengers and crew on board. The survival rate varied greatly between classes, with a much higher percentage of first-class passengers surviving compared to those in third class. Fast forward to 1985, the wreckage of the Titanic was discovered on the ocean floor by a joint American-French expedition led by Robert Ballard. It now lies about 12,500 feet below the surface of the North Atlantic, a haunting reminder of the tragic event. The Titanic's story is a compelling chronicle of human ambition and tragedy that continues to captivate us over a century later. This maritime disaster serves as a potent reminder of the perils of overconfidence and the unforgiving power of nature.